Thank you. Fred Hemmer, 207 East Intendencia Street. I think you all know we've been following this for 5 or 6 years since the beginning. And, you know, I built a big subdivision around the corner there. So I've been out in that area many times, and I've sort of have a feel for what needs to be there. We had hired Dewberry, Clark Partington to help us, you know, with our due diligence. And I know we sent you all a letter about a year ago saying we didn't think the DPZ plan as presented worked, you know, for quite a few reasons. We didn't want to be disingenuous and submit an offer at that time because we really didn't think it really worked. So we backed out, and we watched and listened to all the other people that came here and have been taking notes, and we've met with everybody here, and we were trying to make sure that we checked all the boxes, that we considered not only everybody up here, everybody back here. You know, I've been attending the meetings, attending with Florida West, with the school superintendent, trying to make sure that we've taken in all the information we can to help, you know, develop something that is good for the area. We firmly believe this needs to be a town center. And the only way it's going to be a town center is if you have one developer do the whole thing. If you start piecemealing this, none of those people piecemealing are going to build or take care of a town center. I don't think. I haven't seen that happen. So anyway, we submitted our offer. Obviously, I was here this morning, and Commissioner Berry, when you talked about the 250 acres, I really wanted to say something, but you know, I couldn't. But I knew the exhibit that we gave showed just the acreage of the upland portion of those yellow areas. It didn't include the roads, didn't include the other areas in there. So when I left here today, went back to David Tiller with Dewberry, recalculated it, and came up with a line that gets us right at that 250 acres. We included some of the retention ponds that your land would be draining into, so I think it would be appropriate to make that consideration. So I think that exhibit was submitted. I don't know if you all have that, but you know, I'm willing to listen to any questions, provide any answers. The one thing that Teresa said, she's right. While we have development experience, it takes somebody that has the town center experience, that knows how to develop that synergy, you know, to make it work. We have two parties that we are in serious negotiations with, and they're on hold right now, pending seeing if we are going forward, you know, with the county on an acquisition of this. And if so, then we're going to be immediately picking one of them. They will be disclosed. I mean, if you want to come back up and see a you know, dog and pony show by them, they will be able to do that. So, you know, been here 14 years. You know, I live part-time here, part-time in St. Petersburg, go back and forth. But, you know, my heart is in both places, and I think, you know, what I've done in the past is evidence that, you know, I'm responsible, and I don't really have any skeletons in the closet. So, you know, with that, any questions?
Thank you.
Fred, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So your latest offer is you've reduced the number of acres from 375 down to 290, is that right?
It's about that, and that all can be adjusted.
Yeah, and then the price remains the same?
We didn't change the price.
Okay, and then there's some other things that were brought up today, and I'd like, because I see that everything else in this revised offer stays the same, including the 12-month due diligence period, as well as the agricultural zoning. I think those could be problematic if you want to get a deal done with the board according to what we discussed this morning. Your thoughts?
Quite frankly, we didn't have time to address all that this afternoon. And between everything else, we just wanted to get something done, take care of the biggest problem. And as I mentioned to you, we can work through, I think, the other points. Okay. You know, and what I'm hoping is that, you know, we'll be able to work with staff, you know, to get your input, to come back to us and say, what are those points that you collectively would like to see? I know this is the first time you've all been able to talk about this together, so if we had a consolidated response, then we could, you know, address that.
Well, listen, for my vote, guys, I'd like to move forward with at least due diligence and have the opportunity for Mr. Hemmer to speak with Allison and Wes and kind of work through the issues that we had. I think it's a pretty strong concession that he moved it back to the 250 and brought something back. So I'd like to know your thoughts on it before I make a motion.
Board, any other comments? Commissioner Bender?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, you know, I don't have an issue with them discussing. I see any need for action on this board. As we said, there's still too much that, they didn't have time to address it. They sent out a quick letter. I think we were clear in some of the things that we stated this morning, and so I hadn't anticipated it to take any action tonight.
Fred, does that give you, so, I mean, he's free to call Wes or Allison, you're free to do, but it doesn't look like we're going to get a vote. But if you'd like to call Allison in the morning or Wes, you're free to do so.
Okay. Would there be any communication of, we had the 250, we dealt with that. I know you've had a couple other points, but I don't know if there's been a collective response that we can address all at once.
Fred, quick question. So this will all be for private development that will end up on the Avalon tax rolls?
Didn't you last?
I said all of the land, all of your development, none of it's for public, none of it's for schools and fire, it's all for private, correct?
Oh, not necessarily. I met with Keith Leonard this morning, and we talked about a potential school location.
No, I just asked,
Your part, your part.
on your,
No, on your part. No, I'm kidding. No,
well, I mean, and Jeff, we can't talk about this, and I know your position, and Kevin, I mean, I'm not a big supporter of not getting all this land back on the tax roll.
Well, me neither.
I mean, I'm really not, I'm not saying I'm not open to it, I'm saying I'm not a big supporter of that, and so that probably needs to be further discussion, because I think one of the things we gotta do is, this is valuable land.
Yeah.
We gotta get it back on the tax roll, and I think there's other opportunities for fire stations and schools that are close by. But I'm open to it.
Well, like,
And I know that Kevin Adams and you, Jeff, have supported that, so, you and Stephen have led the charge, so I'm not gonna get out front on Outlying Field 8. I'm gonna continue to let you and Commissioner Berry lead the charge, but certainly just want to give you my little input of what I've said about using that valuable land. I mean, we did a park for Navy Federal, and now we do a fire station, now we do a school, and then I'm still looking at what's the ROI for all the citizens, not just the people of Beulah. I mean, it's great that the people of Beulah like to come out, but it wasn't only the people of Beulah's money that paid for that. It was all of Escambia County that paid for it, and so all the citizens deserve an ROI. People deserve to have the neighborhood look the way they want the neighborhood to look, but there has been a great investment by all the citizens of Escambia County, and it needs to be an ROI for all the citizens of Escambia County, whether it's Commissioner Bagash district, Commissioner Berry, or my district. I mean, we do need to be able to get an ROI on the land, so, and the jobs that were promised. So those are just my thoughts.
Yep.
If you just want my input for it, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but that's just kind of my public input.
Thank you.
yeah, and I appreciate that, Lubin, and the one thing I would agree with you on, I mean, that, he wouldn't put that on the 250 acres. The 250, we would still be able to, bring in job creators. That would be on his portion that he would purchase. But I do. Yeah. But I mean, they're wanting 50 acres. You know that?
Not necessarily.
I told them no on 50. I mean,
Well, I know, I remember you did that, but
Yeah, I don't,
there's other options.
yeah, I'd like to.
I don't think that's the number. I mean, I don't think that's the real number. So, I mean, that can be discussed. I'm not comfortable necessarily taking action either. The amended letter of interest is, considerably better. I mean, you reduce the acreage, you keep the number, you keep your top line number the same, you've increased your per acre, considerably, so that's attractive. Again, I'm not comfortable taking action, but Wes and Allison, I mean, all five of us here, Wes and Allison are here. I don't have any issue with Wes and Allison continuing both to talk to all the five of us and allowing them to communicate, with Fred or Will Dunaway or whoever, or Scott in the audience, about, as they can build consensus that others can't, and then they can communicate some of that feedback, and fine going forward. Maybe it's something that we can have a more extensive discussion about, in January. The number was not in the ballpark of what I thought was reasonable this morning. So, I realized we got a new letter, but I really wasn't intending to take action on the previous LOI because, that top line is the number, and that wasn't attractive. So I wasn't really prepared to discuss a lot of the other details. But, perhaps we can get there in January, and if so, I'm okay with that. If, each of us can just kind of interact with Wes and Allison and see where we land. Thank you, Fred.